Well, good day, everybody. We had a bit of a slow start to that lead-in header then, and I don't know whether it finished or not. Anyway, the internet looks a bit slow, but we'll worry about that. It's Saturday, the 20th of April, and not a lot of special tweets to talk about, except for one from Explorer, which was interesting. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. And we just went out and had a look at the Maiden parade of sail back into Southampton, which is kind of fun. And if you had seen that, you would have seen my explanation about one of the biggest questions we get asked and have been asked for some time by people all over the place, especially here. Why didn't we go back to Southampton for the finish of the OGR? And it's quite an interesting story, and it becomes very evident that we couldn't go back for some very obvious reasons, which I'll explain at the end of this tracker session and when we're going through the questions. So just to make it very clear, how that situation evolved. In the case of Explorer, they went through a situation very similar to what Evrika experienced in the first leg of the OGR, where they were coming into port way over schedule, really late, a lot later than they expected, and they needed to make a phone call. And so they were duly penalised, which then subsequently, I think I'll have to go back and have a look, subsequently was suspended because it was their first call that they made. It gave them no competitive advantage. It was a human logistics issue. And so Explorer Mark, the captain, decided it needed to be done. They made a 5-minute phone call. The crew member made a 5-minute phone call, and they will suffer the same fate as Evrika. So we'll look at that. And I think what it was first phone call outside the notice of race is an 18-hour penalty. And I think I'll have to have a look, but they'll go through exactly the same situation as Evrika. And I think it was reduced a little bit and then suspended because there was no competitive advantage. And if it happens again, they're in deep shit. So that's Explorer's story. And the rest of it is trying to struggle in headwinds, and Triana racing the clock to maintain any chance of beating Maiden for top spot. Now, the reality there is also, if you watch the little live that we did, which was an impromptu, we weren't actually going to go there, and I decided last night, we got Mona back working, and thought, oh, what the heck, we'll go out there, and it was just going to be me, and then Rob came back to go, and it got bigger and bigger, and I thought that was an ideal time to bring it up. But they're flying a flag which says they're the IRC overall leader at the moment. So in other words, if you look at the combined rankings for all 4 legs, you'll see that Maiden is top bill there, but it's not official yet, so she's not the winner, but she is very definitely the leader at the moment in the race. And the out of courtesy and for lots of other reasons, we don't really announce who's actually won that top billing until the second boat gets in, and then it's confirmed, it's locked in, and it's out of respect for them as well. So it'll probably be Tuesday that we make that announcement. So for now, they're absolutely the leader in IRC, but they haven't won it yet. Okay, so that's the situation there. Let's go straight to the tracker and have a look here, and we'll look at the weather prospects. You've got the tracker there, I've got the tracker here, and still dominating is this big high pressure system sitting over the UK. We had a beautiful day outside, sunny, 100% blue sky, sunny, but still very cold this morning when everyone set off. And that's developed this easterly airflow, you could say, over the whole lot. And so that's not good for fast boat speed. Sterner back there cut the corner, which is good. It's right on track now, heading straight for the finish. And Explorer is down the back here, experiencing some favourable wind direction, but not very fast. It's a little bit light at the moment. So right now they're doing 6 knots, a little bit better than last time. I think they were 4.7 last time. And in the last 24 hours, up to 130 nautical mile days a day. So about 2,000 miles to the finish. And as I explained yesterday, that's suggesting at least 14 days if they're sailing normally, and they're in a funny position for the weather right now. So I'd say it's probably going to be 15, 16 days from now, which puts us in 2031. So another 5, maybe somewhere between the 5th and the 9th of May. I think that's a realistic expectation for Explorer. And we'll look at the 2-day weather forecast in a minute, working that forward. So for the rest of the boats, Sterner's got a good wind angle there on the beam, fast sailing, and they're still making 7.6 knots. And they did a 174-mile day. That's impressive enough. It's as good as it gets. And they've got 956 miles to go. Now, that'll be near enough to a week. It's a pretty steady week, and they may well be able to manage that all the way through. So if that was the case, they're arriving a little bit earlier than I expected. I thought they'd be 28, 29, but now they've sneaked ahead a little bit, and they could arrive on the 27th. So we'll watch that as well. Coming down to Galiana, still they were 100 miles behind Triana, of course. So now they're doing 6.6, a little bit better, but still hard on the wind, basically, to make it towards Cowes. And they've got, 27, 28, 29 knots, probably gusting 38 or something, and 3-metre seas. So still pretty wet, not nice conditions. They can't use kites. So basically just 4.5 sails and just hang on for the ride and bounce around and steer the boat. That's probably it, occasionally putting a reef in or shaking a reef out. So 146-mile day, and they've got 466 miles to go. So that's going to be at least 1, 2, 3 days, and it's probably going to go quiet. So that's another story. Anyway, if it's 3 days, a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so sometime late Monday or 3 full days from now. So that's today, Sunday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'd still say suggesting late Monday. That's interesting, but I think it'll probably roll over to the next day. So we'll see what happens, what the weather's delivering. Now, this is the interesting one. Triana back up to 6.9 knots and made a 143-mile day, same as Galiana exactly, and 366 to go. Okay, now it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They needed to be in by about 5 o'clock on Monday morning, which is way less than 2 days. So it's looking highly unlikely, but we'll leave the door open for their efforts to get there, and we'll see what the weather's going to do in the next 48 hours in a sec. So good to be back on track, and very frustrating for them. White Shadow, 5.8 knots, 119-mile day, 422 miles to go. Not too far away, so that's okay. And then Evrika, 6.5 knots, 512 miles to go, and 113-mile day. So they're all generally heading in the right direction, and this wind's going easterly. So what's going to happen now in the next 24 hours? I'll forget about Explorer for the moment, and we'll just watch what happens here. I don't think we need to go out any bigger than this, and I think I'm going to try one step at a time and hope that the internet holds. Yeah, it's changing. Yes, it's changing. So here we go through till tonight. Everything's holding the same direction, so that it'll be holding a similar course. And easterly, and 4:30 in the morning, so this is 12 hours out. The bad news is you can see here, this sort of, it's not a front, but it's the pressure gradient's changed the other side of this, and it does two things. It changes the direction. So it's going back to the northeast, whereas here it's going south of east just. So once they get into this lot, the wind's going to swing more on the nose and they're going to be tacking again. Okay, but up until that point, it was an easterly, and they could probably head up towards the tip of UK here. But once they get into this, which is basically, well, in fact, it gets complicated. I'll take it through one more time. That's about 24 hours from now. And I would suggest that if Triana keeps going on this track, they're probably going to be around about here somewhere, going light. But you can see they can't get across in this wind, so they're going to have to tack down eventually, which is it's not a losing tack, but it's certainly not going forward. And then they're going to have to tack back again, depending on what happens on the next day. So that's what Triana's up for. Galiana, they're going to be just coming up to the edge of this with this better wind angle. So they'll close the gap a little bit on Triana, and then slowly they'll hit this within 24 hours as well. Because if we roll this over to where will Galiana be, there's 125. They'll just be seeing the wind shift from this easterly quadrant towards the northeast. Now they'll hit that, and then they'll bear away. They'll have to come up here and then tack back again straight up. But they will close a little bit. They might pick up 15 miles on Triana, but that's about it. The others coming through, they're pretty much restricted to hold that, and then they're going to have to tack across as well. So that all of this is going to add possibly another day. Anyway, let's just get rid of that, hit that. So that's day one. And we'll now come into day 2. Hopefully this internet's holding. Yes, it is. Still holding from the northeast, which is pretty close to where they want to go. Pretty close to where they want to go. This is on the 22nd. Yeah, and right here is about where Triana's going to be. So everyone's not only going to have this funny wind direction, but once it goes calm, it comes down from the north and they'll start sailing again. So it'll be lighter winds, but it'll be on the port beam and they'll start making progress. So all in, it's going to go to the wire, but it's a big ask for Triana to make it back in on time, but we'll see how it goes. So the second day is not looking like much fun at all. Light winds, but then again, it picks up a little bit, and this could all change. So I'm not making any predictions other than the fact to say it's not perfect. It's not ideal. In fact, it's challenging, but let's wait and see. That's the best way I can put it. I think Stern is okay. The next 2 days, they'll be making their reasonable time through this. They might get pushed a little bit north, but they won't be sitting in that calm. They will have moved forward by then, so Stern is okay. What's happening with Explorer? Explorer headwinds. So in 2 days, they'll probably be down in here. I'll keep an eye on that because that's looking quite sharp. So we'll keep an eye on that to make sure we can give them a weather update if they need it. But it's not favourable. They're going to be struggling to head towards the Azores on day 2. If I come back to day 1, see what day 1 holds. Yeah, light headwind. So they'll probably take off here, and then this is the system here building. It's going to come up over them, so they're going to get some heavy weather. So batten the hatches. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on that and give them the relevant bits and pieces. So now on the leaderboard, do we want to see that? No, we want to go straight to the other. It's really touch and go with all of them for leg 4 on IRC, but it's pretty defined. 6 of the boats are in now, 1's still getting repaired, and then Triana 51-14, Galliana just behind them 2 days later, and then White Shadow is a day behind Galliana, and then Evrika half a day behind that. So it's all pretty interesting. Now let's just go back to combined results for the whole race. Hold on to your hats, everybody, and we'll see what it's suggesting. But as I say, we don't announce anything officially now until we'll go to recents. So we're on IRC combined results between Spirit of Helsinki's jumped up in front, but we'll see. So Maiden's top of the bill, 179 days, 1 hour, 24 minutes. Spirit of Helsinki is listed as second, and based on a 5.9 knot average, which Triana has been making so far, that puts them in on the 23rd at 1 hour and 1:58, so 3, 4, 5. So they're 21 hours too late at this rate, approximately to. Oh no, that's not right. The other way around. So they had to be there by 5, and they're going to be about 21 hours too late by the look of it, and with a suggested corrected time of 79 days, 21 hours and 54 minutes, which would put them, based on that estimated time of arrival, would put them in 3rd and Maiden top billing. But as I say, we don't say anything officially now until Triana gets in, and we can be confirmed of exactly what's going on. So officially, Maiden is the IRC leader on the leaderboard for now. Okay. Okay, so that's that. I think we're done. I'll come back here. Boom, boom. So what was the deal with Southampton and Ocean Village? It goes simply like this, that when you, as you all know, we were able to come to the UK instead of starting the OGR in Europe because we had a confidential benefactor, a corporation that decided to help us to pay the host port fee to get us in for the start. And that was great. And then that was, outside of us, a negotiation took place to select Ocean Village as the host port itself. And part of the deal there was a very clear understanding that we would be provided with free berthing and there would be a little race village and so on. And Ocean Village managed to secure a confidential sponsor because they've never told us who it is. We have no idea. Maybe a similar situation to us. Anyway, we had a good time there. Everything went reasonably well. We departed the scene, and 3 weeks after we left, MDL contacted us and said, hey guys, sorry, our sponsor didn't pay us any money, so you're now going to have to pay for your berthing. And we said, oh, that's very interesting, because that was never our understanding at all. We got no idea what happens to their sponsors. That's up to them. But just because their sponsor didn't pay Ocean Village, got nothing to do with us. So we obviously refused to pay any berthing, which was offered free. And our role then was to promote Southampton and Ocean Village, which we did. And in fact, by December, I think we had clearly shown we provided over €9 million worth of exposure for Southampton and Ocean Village, and done exactly what we said we'd do: fly their flags, put the stickers on the hull, put it on the lee cloths, and talk about the fact that it was Ocean Village. So anyway, the long and the short of that was then they had to give us a proposal for the finish. They wanted the prize giving and everything finished and wrapped up today, which is in the middle of a little boat show that they've got going. And we made it very clear to them that we wanted to know a few things. First of all, that date would never work because the boats won't be finished until the end of April. And secondly, are we getting free berthing, because we'd refused to pay the other one. And the long story there was that they never really came back to us with a proposal to finish the race in Ocean Village. And the marina fees actually, eventually in January, we got an invoice demanding payment for £25,500 for our berthing for the start of the race, which we're refusing to pay, obviously. So we had no option to go elsewhere. We made a great arrangement here in Cowes. We had the support of the squadron finishing line so that we start and finish in the same place. And Harbour Master here, Trinity Landing, is fantastic. They've been great. The Island Yacht Club on Cowes has been our place to go. You know, all the crews and everything have been there. And New Haven Marina here, in Cowes have been, Yacht Haven Marina in Cowes have been really great as well. So we finished in Cowes. That's the short story, and that's the reason we didn't go back there, back to Ocean Village. We're obviously now working on 2027. It'd be great to see the event start and finish in the UK, but we'll have to see. Unless you get that, a level of support, that's what host ports do. If they want to be involved with the event, that's how it happens. So it could be starting in the UK, it could be starting anywhere in Europe, and so on. So there's a lot of discussions at the moment about the next edition of the race. As a by the way, that's the first time in my history of running events for the last 40 odd years that anything like that has ever happened. We're very clear on our understandings and how we work. And there's other issues there, but anyway, we weren't going to pay for berthing, and we have not paid that yet. And the suggestion was that they would. Anyway, I don't need to go into that further. But anyway, that's why we didn't go back to Ocean Village. So part of the challenges of running events, but we do like Cowes. It's fantastic. Got a great atmosphere, and we're happy to be here. Okay, so quick run through. Can you give a quick update on Maiden's future now that this is her final sail? I haven't spoken directly to Tracy about what Maiden's plan, but I know that the discussions and things that I've heard is that she will now from this be put in storage. It costs a lot of money to do any sort of sailing, just maintenance, insurance, all those sorts of things. And all we've heard is that she will be put in storage for a while, mothballed, similar to what we're doing with Explorer. Explorer will be mothballed for 3 years. Next 3 years, not mothballed, but she will put on the hard for the next year while we tidy her up and service everything and basically prepare her to go sailing again. But you've got to have something to do with a boat like that, because just having it in the water costs money, and we'll be taking her out of the water. So I have no idea where she'll be stored, whether it'll be out of the water, in the water, whatever, but that's all we've heard at the moment. So there's no real new plans on the go that Tracy's mentioned anything about. But big day today for them, heading back to Southampton, because that was where they finished their whitbread races. And it's a huge buzz. And the girls on the boat are just awesome. An amazing crew, and they've done an amazing job. We could go on and on and on. You all know the story. But it makes us happy and quite emotional to see what they're going through right now. So those girls are amazing. Anyway, a good story. Can you give a bit of okay? So Rob Leslie, evening everybody. Great to hear from Translated 9. Yeah, Translated 9 will be fun to get her in. That'll be good. Christine, Warren, anybody know of any extra video coverage of Maiden's parade of sail? No, they don't. We saw they did one little live coming in about 3 minutes or something, and that's all they really did. We weren't going to we were looking to get some footage to replicate the vision that they have from 50 years ago, or not 50, 40 something years ago, when Tracy and her crew sailed up the Southampton waters towards the finish, for them. They had the spinnaker flying. We got access to that historical image, and I said, we only just decided to go out last night, a long story, to get about 30 seconds of footage with the spinnaker up, and wasn't sure about the weather. So we can use that in our film. And in the end, it didn't quite work out. But it was, and then when we were going, everyone jumped in the boat, and so we ended up with the whole team and a couple of extras. So it was quite fun to be out there, though. Great stuff. So, is she for sale? No, I can't imagine Tracy wanting to sell the boat at all. So I'm not sure. Gay Mike Gay, Jeff, any news from T9 may head north? No, not yet. We'll probably talk to him. We'll talk to Kiara and the others beginning of the week, after the weekend. But it looks like they might be ready to go next week. That's just my assumption. They've been there for a while, and it's a proper boatyard this time. You can do a lot in a couple of weeks. So I think they will probably beat Explorer. Yes, absolutely. Anyway, the latest post said sometime this coming week. Yeah, okay. So that's what I reckon as well. They should be looking pretty good. If that's the case, they will absolutely beat Explorer. So no problem there. Okay, so fun to watch Maiden, son of Southampton. Yeah, they'll be having a great time. They're living the dream, and long may it last. In fact, all the entrants were saying today in the boat that this whole situation with Ocean Glow will keep going for many months now. All the crews get back, they talk about what's happened. I'm sure they'll have speaking engagements everywhere, talking about their experiences and so on. So a lot more people will actually get to hear and see exactly what the Ocean Globe race means. It's funny. We talk about the human story, and we've been talking about human stories in our events since 2015, heavily. And now all the events are talking about the human stories. And our line was that, it's sort of funny, and I hope be careful how I put this, because I love all the other events. I'm not criticising any other events, but when you have a situation where they're super competitive, they've got to spend heaps of money, which is great because everyone spends heaps of money. That keeps the industry going. I'm referring to IMOCAs here. To do an IMOCA, a boat costs €10 million and another €10 million or something for 4 or 5 or 6 years of racing. So it's a huge industry, and a lot of people live from it, and that's a good thing. All the technicians and so on. But it's all about speed. And I see Pip Hare now. I really like Pip Hare on the IMOCAs, what she's doing. I saw her in Jeepers, about 2012 Southampton boat show in her little Mini. She was just all excited about her Mini campaign, and now she's in a crack IMOCA going for it, but she needs more money. She's struggling to get the money, but they've got for absolute performance, which costs a lot. So they do all that. Anyway, you get on the boat, which has costed $10 million, got all the fast foils, and guess what? The biggest selling item is the human story, like Pip. They're not talking about the nth degree of stress analysis on the foil that cost another €50,000, or they're not talking about the carbon fibre masts, which are all one design masts, and the similar keels which cost a fortune, and blah, blah, blah. They're talking about the people driving the boat, and that's a good thing, because that's what people want to see. And so all our events are all about the human story, and we are excited about that, because that's exactly what's happening. So when we see everyone talking about it and so on, and new people looking at joining the next race, it's fantastic. It's just so cool. So we're all very happy. No deal. If we get to be let down, unpaid bills leave a bad taste. Yeah, we're not. Don't worry. We have no bad taste in our mouth, because we're not. I've never in my entire life walked away from an unpaid bill. But we're not paying any berthing to Ocean Village, I can assure you. So anyway, that's kind of sad, but there you go. That's how it works. We've always paid our way. Don't worry about that. Because what we do is, it's the same thing when you own a boat. You get a lot of contractors, and you have to spend a lot of money. And we have a policy. It's a very simple policy. No matter what happens, we always pay the bill. And we may not go back to that person, like that electrician or that thing. It's never happened, mind you. But you always pay your bills, and then you walk away and say, "Oh, well, that's life. That happened." But in this case, don't worry, we're not paying any berthing fees. Great finish for Maiden, absolutely, Mark. Yeah, it looks really cool. So okay, we'll see you again tomorrow, and counting the hours for Triana to turn up. Let's keep our fingers crossed. It's an interesting story in its own right. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.